5 senior executives have left in 60 days. The people closest to AI aren't staying. They are leaving. Now, let me give you the analyst version because the details really matter. The FDA referred HIMSS to the Department of Justice for potential federal drug law violations. Novo Nordisk filed a lawsuit, one of over 120 lawsuits against compounding pharmacies. Novo's general counsel said this, and I quote, "This has been a complete sham since the shortage ended." And the data behind that statement is alarming. So Novo tested compounded injectable semaglutide, found impurities up to 86%, compounded oral versions up to 75%. HSS general counsel got involved. The Department of Justice investigation opened. HIMSS pulled the product within 72 hours. And I want you to hear this from the government official, okay, himself. This is HSS General Counsel Mike Stewart. Check this out.
Welcome back. Shares of HIMSS and hers sinking this morning after Novo Nordisk sued the company over cheaper copies of its weight loss drugs. It comes after news Friday that Health and Human Services referred HIMSS and hers to the Justice Department for potential violations of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Brandon Gomez has been following this story. Joins us now with special guest Mike Stewart, General Counsel for the Department of Health and Human Services. Brandon, on this stock that is so controversial and this company's practices. Go for it.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah, good morning. General Counsel Stewart, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Great. Thanks very much for having me this morning.
Absolutely. So on Friday, you said that in a post on X that based on your review that you were referring HIMSS and hers to the DOJ for investigation. What exactly did you see that led you to make that decision?
Well, let me make a couple points here, right? No president in the history of our country, no secretary of HHS in the history of our country has placed a higher priority on affordability of healthcare and transparency of the healthcare system. That being said, what you look at here in terms of HIMSS, and I don't want to point out HIMSS, and I don't want to talk a lot about that referral, except to say that what HIMSS was marketing was neither FDA approved and had not gone through the FDA regimen of clinical trials. And I compare this to companies that go through the clinical trial process, that go through FDA process at billions of dollars. And so what we're really talking about here is the idea of protecting the intellectual investments of companies that focus on cures for the American people in comparison to companies that knock off cures and knock off solutions at the last minute, undercutting those investments from legitimate companies.
Knockoffs. That's what they're calling it. So that's the United States government on the record referring a publicly traded company to the Department of Justice over weight loss pills being knockoffs, weight loss pens being knockoffs. Now, let me show you what that did to the stock, guys. This is what it did. Monday, down 16%. Tuesday, pre-market, down another 25%, below $9 a share. This stock was above $22 a year ago, down 58% in 12 months. HIMSS put out a statement. They called it constructive conversations with industry stakeholders. Translation, they got the call from the lawyers. Now, here's the part that matters for positioning. The semaglutide the semaglutide patent, okay? It does not expire until 2032. That's 6 more years of legal exposure for anyone making compounded versions, knockoff versions. HIMSS has about 1,600 employees. Their GLP-1 business, the weight loss drugs, drove 74% of their revenue growth in the first 9 months of 2025. If that revenue evaporates, and it is evaporating now, right now, significant cuts are coming, right? Significant cuts are coming. But this isn't just about HIMSS. The entire compound in the pharmacy sector is now under a lot of pressure. The FDA under this administration is enforcing patent protections aggressively. The Department of Justice is involved. Over 120 lawsuits were filed. Now, here's the analyst take. This is what happens when you build a business on a regulatory gray area. The loophole looked like an opportunity. Hey, you know what? We can take these knockoffs. We can undercut these big time companies. We can give it and sell it to the people for half the price. Well, we can do that for a while. Then the regulation caught up and 170,000 customers lost access to their prescriptions in 72 hours. Guess what it does for careers? Careers built on loopholes are fragile. Full stop. What do you think is going to happen to these individuals who work for hims and hers if 74% of their revenue goes away? So where do you go if you're in this space? If you work in telehealth now, compounding pharmacy, DTC healthcare marketing, you need to pivot your resume towards FDA regulatory healthcare, the skills transfer, patient engagement, digital health platforms, clinical workflows, but you need to frame everything in compliance for language. Okay. So if you look at the companies that are hiring right now, you're talking about Novo Nordisk. They're crushing it, right? Although they did have some layoffs most recently. They are scaling their Wegovy Salesforce, especially now that this is in place. They're going to sell more of it. Eli Lilly, the first $1 trillion company that we talked about on last week, expanding their tirzepatide. Amgen, their drug Maritide, is entering the market. The pharma companies that played by the rules are the ones that's hiring right now. The ones that tried to go around the rules are the ones that's laying off. Here's the AI washing pattern. Look at this pattern. Amazon cut 16,000 jobs, say they were simplifying operations. The real driver, $200 billion in CapEx reallocation to AI infrastructure. Dow Chemical cut 4,500, said AI and automation, the real driver, weak demand and 2.4 billion net loss. Pinterest, it cut 15%, said shift to AI roles is the real driver, revenue stagnation. HP up to 6,000 cuts, said AI integration, the real driver, declining PC and printer sales. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said in June, as we roll out more generative AI, expect that there will be a reduction of our total corporate workforce. He later walked it back. So the pattern is clear. Companies are using AI as the excuse, but the layoffs are about margins. I want you guys to type signal in the chat if you see the pattern, okay? Now let me show you what AI washing looks like in real time, because this story just broke. Salesforce, all right? They quietly cut fewer than 1,000 workers at the beginning of this month, February. Affected roles, marketing, product management, data analytics, and workers on the Agentforce AI product itself. Now remember, this is the same company whose CEO, Mark Benioff, said in August that AI reduced their support team from 9,000 to 5,000. And I want you to hear him say it, okay? Here's him saying this. Check it out. He said it in the podcast. Listen to Mark Benioff talk about what AI has done.
Well, if you remember, our conversation was all about Agentforce, and we were getting ready to deploy Agentforce on our support layer. And now we have, and I just tell you, like, we're customer zero for our new agentic service and support product at Salesforce. So we have now done about 1.5 million conversations with customers. And at the same time, that's the agentic layer speaking to the customers. 1.5 million conversations also happened through our support agents during that same period. And the CSAT scores were about the same, which was stunning. And also, I was able to rebalance my headcount on my support. I've reduced it from 9,000 heads to about 5,000 because I need less heads.
Did you hear that? I need less heads. That's a direct quote from the CEO of a $248 billion company. That was August. Now, fast forward to this weekend. So they told the world that AI was replacing their support staff, and now they're cutting the people who build the AI product. But that's not even the biggest signal, okay? It's not even the biggest signal. I want you guys to check this out. 5 senior executives have left Salesforce in 60 days. Adam Evans, the head of Agentforce, their flagship AI product, announced his departure on Sunday. Said he's returning to what he loves most, building startups. Denise Dresser, CEO of Slack, left in December to become OpenAI's chief revenue officer. Ryan Ate, CEO of Tableau, departed last week. Ariel Kelman, Chief Marketing Officer, left on Monday to join AMD. Brad Arkin, Chief Security Officer, left at the end of January. So 5 executives in 60 days. And where are they all going? They're going to OpenAI, they're going to AMD, and they're going to startups. Salesforce says this, and I quote, deep bench in proactive succession planning. Now, here's my analyst take, guys. When 5 executives leave in 60 days and you're cutting workers on your flagship AI product, that's not succession planning. That is a signal. The people closest to the product are leaving. The head of Agentforce left to build startups. The CEO of Slack left for OpenAI. They see what's coming, and they are positioning themselves on the AI native side. But make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you are new to the show. We welcome you. Subscribe if you haven't. We are pushing the Elevate to the Unknown channel. We just hit 120,000, and we are pushing this channel towards the 2,500 mark. We just hit 2,200. But every subscriber matters. Every subscriber helps us to reach our goal. Every subscriber helps us to reach more people, especially navigating this job market, navigating business. All right.